Millions of people are struggling to stay cool in Europe as a blistering heat wave continues to sit over several countries. Parts of Spain, Italy, and Portugal saw their hottest temperatures in more than a century in the month of June, with some days reaching past 40 degrees. Now, this extreme heat is renewing calls for some European cities to revisit the use of air conditioning. For a closer look at this morning, I'm joined by Catalina Spitaru. She's a professor of global energy and resources and the director of the UCL Energy Institute. You're joining us from London, so how hot is it there this morning?
It's not so bad today. Good morning, Anne-Marie. But just recently here in London, we experienced high temperatures around 32 degrees Celsius, which really highlights how even cities with milder climates are facing more intense and frequent extreme heat events.
A friend of mine who works in news over in London said that they went into work just to be near the air conditioning when they were having that heat wave. Listen, most people who visited Europe know that air conditioning is very rare. In 2022, the International Energy Agency estimated less than 20% of European homes have air conditioning. In some countries, that's down to 3 and 5%. That's a huge difference from nearly 90% of Americans who have it built into their homes. So I'm assuming architecture plays a part of this, but why don't Europeans adopt the use of AC?
Yeah, that is a really great question. So many European buildings, especially in city centers, are quite old and they were never designed with air conditioning in mind. So we have a large percentage of European buildings constructed before the modern thermal standards. And they often have like thick masonry walls with small windows, with traditional constructions and so on. So on top of that, we have historical buildings and protected districts, which restrict changes to the exterior, or adding things like outdoor condensers or draining through walls, or often this is not really allowed. So these rules help kind of preserve architecture character but limit the AC options in this moment. Plus that we have electrical system in these older buildings which may not really handle the extra load from modern AC units without to really do upgrades at a much higher cost. And many of these buildings also have poor insulation and ventilation, so which means like AC systems have to work harder to cool spaces, driving up the energy and the cost.
You know, we're looking at live shots of Warsaw right now where there's just a young guy desperate to stay cool, so he's standing in front of a mister, just trying to get a little bit of a cool down. Listen, air conditioners, we know, are gas guzzlers. Europe is committed to lowering its carbon emissions. So how can Europeans cool their homes or themselves or public buildings in the midst of heat waves, which we also know are increasing because of climate change?
Yeah, so there are alternatives for sure, but what we really need to understand is so how the AC actually works, because when you use AC to cool a space, the system works by moving heat from inside to outside. So while you have that space gets cooler, the heat then goes somewhere else. So usually it's released into the streets or outdoor areas. So this actually makes those outside areas hotter. So it's creating really this so-called heat island or hotspot in cities, for example. So we already looked at different research and studies which highlight very this local outdoor temperature, like that you can elevate because of this the outdoor temperature by a few degrees Celsius, which could make like our heat waves worse, especially in dense urban environments. So we need to be careful where we put air conditioning and for what purpose. And we've seen already we need to prioritize, for example, elderly people, we need to prioritize kids and so on. And we have already like through the European Commission and the European countries already have in place this. But in terms of alternative, for many older or historic buildings in Europe, traditional air conditioning isn't always practical because of the structural or the heritage constraints. So instead of that, we need to look at alternatives like improving natural ventilation, things like smart window placement or adding discrete vents which can encourage airflow without altering the building's character. Then we can have more shading, like which is very effective, like shutters. or even like climbing plants, which can block direct sunlight or to reduce the heat inside. Another important step is also upgrading insulation in walls and roofs with using materials that won't damage the structure or look at the building. However, many of the older buildings have like thick stone or brick walls, which actually sometimes can help stabilize indoor temperature because of their thermal mass. So when cooling is still needed, then we can use smaller, low systems like mini split or ductless AC units, which can install with really minimal changes there. There are also other emerging technologies like heat pumps or evaporating coolers.
Right.
So yeah, we can look at a much broader scale. So for example, we can increase our urban greenery like trees, green roofs, more pocket parks also. All of this helps to reduce the overall heat in the neighborhoods, which can benefit really everyone.
Well, we're looking at one of those alternatives. That's this mister. This is a live shot from Warsaw, where there is a severe heat warning there this morning, 34 degrees, which explains why this entire family has gathered around this mister in an effort to try and stay cool and escape the heat. Catalina Spataro, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.